Today I want to share with you a couple of tips that I have found to be what I call my Fab Five, the top five things that you can do when you're creating your yearbook pages to make sure that from a design standpoint they look really nice and are including lots of great student coverage. These are the things that differentiate good yearbooks from great yearbooks. If you're trying to improve the overall design of your yearbook, these are some things that I want you to focus on this year to improve. The first place that you really should go is from the home page of Yearbook Avenue. Over on the left-hand side, you'll see a tab down at the bottom left list that says Design Gallery. That Design Gallery is a collection of national award-winning yearbook pages from all across the country. There are thousands of those available for you to look at, and the reason why I think it's so important that you start there is that it gives you a visual frame of reference for what great yearbooks look like. I think it's impossible for students to sit down and hammer out great yearbook pages on the computer if they first don't understand what great yearbook pages look like. And so it's like the equivalent of a math teacher asking you to take a math test but has never shown you an example of how to work the problem or never given you the formula to work the problem. The chances of you passing that math test are not very good. Well, the chances of you creating great yearbook pages without kind of understanding the formula of great yearbook pages or seeing examples of great yearbook pages is also not very good. So start in that design gallery or in your lookbook or in other samples that I have left you. But these five things that differentiate good from great, begin with headline writing. So this example that you're looking at here is an example of how visually and verbally they've been creative with their headline. The headline needs to tell me more than just from what I can tell from looking at all the pictures on the page. In this example, just from looking at the pictures on the page, I can tell that this is the boys' soccer page. So your headline should not say soccer. Here, they've used the headline, Kickin' with the Bros. So verbally, it's something creative, and visually, they've used a combination of different sizes, fonts, and colors to draw my attention into the page. So the first key component of all great yearbook layouts is going to be a really creative headline, both verbally and visually. The second key component is telling stories in a couple of different ways. And one of the most modern, trendy ways in yearbooks to tell stories is in what's called content modules. They're pieces of pages that you design to tell a unique aspect of the school year. So on this page, you have the dance team and the cheer teams. Some very traditional reference photos are on these pages, but they did a really nice job of using these sidebars and these infographics and this quote section to really differentiate some things that are unique to this year's dance team and cheer squad. So, for example, in these sidebars, they ask a question, what's your best dance move? And they got quotes from various members of the dance team. Over on this side, what's the worst injury you've gotten? And they got quotes from several members of the cheer team. Here they did a bar graph on JV cheer injuries that they've experienced. And here they ask, how well do you know the varsity dance team? And they profiled 4 of the dancers and asked them 2 questions, what's your favorite routine? And how long have you danced? And they just quoted those. So it creates interesting, interactive content that is mixed in with some of the traditional content like these reference photos. So all they had to do to create this was minimize down some of these reference photos, make them a little smaller. They're still plenty big, plenty visible to put both the pictures and the names, and then work in the other content in the midst of the page. So creative headlines and then these content modules. Content modules are one way of storytelling. You can also do these content modules in lots of places in your book, such as your portrait pages. So this is an example of just carving into a layout, a template, creating this sidebar space, and then coming into the sidebar space and doing some other little profiles and quick reads about students that are in this class. You also can do storytelling in what's called traditional copywriting. Copywriting is just columns of story that you would write about an event or a topic that you can't really tell the entire story just from the photos. A photo alone does not tell the story. There are some places in your book, and I ask you just to be strategic with where those are. Identify maybe even just 6 or 8 different places in your book where you're going to put in a bit of a story. These are not long stories. Typically in national award-winning publications, you will find that this may be anywhere from 8 to 15 sentences is all that you will find. But it's going to give me relevant context to what was going on, why it was happening, what the people that were involved in this felt like, what their quotes are about it, and the things that I just can't tell from the photos. Here in this layout, they did a really nice job of incorporating a nice headline and a nice story, and it can be used on pages that still have content modules. This little section at the bottom is still considered a content module because it was a pull-out quote from one of the people involved in the activity. And then finally, it's creating great photos and captions to help tell the story. So if you look at this layout, you have a dominant photo that kind of captures the eye, and then you have supporting photos that are of different context, different shapes and sizes, and then you also caption those photos. There's not one right or wrong way to caption, but the one wrong way to caption is not to caption. Captions are going to tell me not just who is in the picture, but give me more details than that. I need to understand what they were doing, why, how they felt. So this is usually going to expand out into a sentence or 2 or 3. You can also add quotes onto the end of captions to incorporate the voice of the primary subjects in the captions. So in this layout, a really nice job of all of the key components. They've done a really nice creative headline, a traditional story area, some non-traditional storytelling through the content module, which in this case is a sidebar, some really nice photos that capture lots of faces in lots of different settings, and then they come in and captioned each one of those photos. So those are kind of the Fab 5 key components of great yearbook layouts. Now, kind of one to grow on is not overusing color. So when you create pages, resist the temptation to just put all color background or clip art backgrounds on the page. Color photos will always have the most contrast coming off of white, and then use color strategically on your page. This example of color echoing is done well on this page because they took the dominant photo on the page and then they took the dominant color from that photo and they used it in a variety of different places. It doesn't have to just be the dominant color in the dominant photo. Maybe it's school colors that you're going to use in strategic ways, or maybe it's colors that are related to your theme that you're going to use in strategic ways. But instead of using those as real dominant colors, as full page backgrounds or clip art backgrounds, which can be more of a distraction than anything else, use colors subtly in areas of text, in graphic elements, and in these content modules to draw the eye to the color but not distract away from the photos. All right, so the Fab 5, in case you missed those: creative headlines, then traditional stories, there's copywriting is number 2, non-traditional content modules, which is the modules on the page that still tell a story in different ways, such as sidebars and quotes. That's number 3. Number 4 is great photos, and number 5 is captioning those great photos. And then kind of one to grow on is not overdoing color, but using color echoing or strategic color from themes or school colors.